After Jonathan Majors was fired from being Kang, the eponymous fifth Avengers film, the Kang Dynasty, seems to be going back to the drawing boards.
Back to formula.
Whilst it seems it may still feature Kang recast, the title has been dropped and it's now being reported that the movie will be quote unquote multiversal but grounded. Whilst that seems like an oxymoron at first, I could see it working. It doesn't need to be a huge cataclysmic end of the universe scenario, it could feature the notion of parallel worlds, but the stakes could be rooted in the characters. Supposedly Avengers Secret Wars will be its own two-part story rather than being the endgame equivalent to Avengers 5, so that means the next Avengers movie can afford to be more standalone whilst also teeing up something bigger in the next instalment. Kind of exactly like what Captain America Civil War was for Avengers Infinity War.
You trust me? I do.
Whilst the MCU is in disarray, one side of things that is doing really well is the mutant contingent. Everyone loved X-Men 97, and everyone is hyped for Deadpool and Wolverine.
You shoot the double, you take him down. Side control, then full mount, and you ground and pound.
After a string of maligned movies and streaming shows, this could be the theatrical experience to get things back on track. So, Avengers 5 needs to build off of this summer's movie, put its best foot forward, establish a new team of Avengers and a proper team dynamic before Secret Wars, and give them a proper challenge. Kang can feature, but I think it would be good to see him as a cerebral schemer in the shadows, rather than a full-blown physical antagonist after he got his ass handed to him by... checks notes... Ant-Man.
Crap, mega crap.
To me,
My X-Men.
there's only one solution. Avengers 5 must be... well, you already saw the title, so, you know, you must have when you clicked on this. Avengers 5 must be Avengers Vs X-Men. If you're someone who's been saying to me, Matt, I have notification bells on, I'm subscribed, and I'm still not getting notified about your new videos, then why not consider joining the Patreon for free? You can be a free member, you don't have to pay anything, and I'll be posting my full videos as notifications on there, so if you miss it on YouTube, you'll get the chance to catch it on Patreon. And of course, if you do want to subscribe to any of the tiers, you can get a load of free content, like the weekly podcast where we're reviewing The Boys currently, or you can get early releases, ton of other goodies, you name in the credits, even a video thank you potentially. So sign up to the Patreon now if you want to get notified for every new video. It'll cost you literally nothing. First and foremost, I want this movie to really establish a new era for the Avengers. It's no secret that the team's absence as a mainline movie, or just as a team in the current Marvel Universe, has meant its team members have been in limbo. I want to see Captain America leading the team, with Doctor Strange and Spider-Man rounding out the new Trinity. Black Panther, Shang-Chi and Moon Knight need key roles too, creating a new Core 6 Avengers, just like in their 2012 debut. In this movie, Kang should ultimately be the villain both teams rally against, but his antics should be cunning and played from behind the scenes, at least until the end. Have him be the Zemo of the movie, so the conflict between the Avengers and the X-Men is front and centre.
We're still friends, right?
Depends on how hard you hit me.
In a departure from Civil War, I think both sides should be made to think through Kang's genius, but the opposing side are a group of Kang's acolytes. Therefore, there's no friendly combat, not at first. There's stakes, because these characters are looking to fully incapacitate, maybe even kill their enemy. Punches are not being pulled. In terms of the X-Men, I get that people want a clean slate reboot, but I don't think that's coming until post-Secret Wars at this point. So instead, building off of everyone's favourite adamantium mutant returning this summer, let's see the original cast members returning also. Halle Berry's Storm, James Marsden's Cyclops, Famke Janssen's Jean Grey, Alan Cummings' Nightcrawler, and the already established The Marvel's Multiverse Beast in Kelsey Grammer.
You are now in a reality parallel to your own, which is, of course, impossible.
To round out this team, I want Anna Paquin's Rogue and Shawn Ashmore's Iceman. I think these characters are collectively the most important characters in the original mainline films. And this is where I get a bit controversial. I love Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen in the roles of Xavier and Magneto, they are the GOATs, but they are also very old at this point. I think beyond cameos, it's going to be hard to utilise them in a meaningful way. If it's all time and space shenanigans to get the Fox-Men crashing into the MCU, then I think you should bring in McAvoy and Fassbender alongside the original Recipe team. That way, they can really be a part of the story, they can get physical, they can be involved in the action. In Meg's case, he can contribute to some really big action set pieces. The X-Men get jumbled up across time and space and end up as refugees in this MCU world, and it adds to their disarray working with versions of the old guard they don't necessarily recognise. It would be an awful lot to get the audience to invest in a new Avengers team dynamic and a new team of X-Men from scratch. The mutants should be the nostalgic returns that we recognise. Meanwhile, the Avengers, most of which being characters we haven't seen in several years, there's a video on that, will be the fresh new thing the audience gets to see. You have a seasoned team from yesteryear and a new team being forged in fire, something old and something new smashed together. It's also the chance to finally cross the T's and dot the I's for the original X-Men before what will likely be their final run ever in Secret Wars. Everybody gets comic accurate outfits, Storm an awesome white jumpsuit, Nightcrawler his red duds and swords, Scott his famous blue and yellow number, Wolverine is getting his yellow this summer, so the rest of the team should follow suit. No pun intended. There's of course temptation to load up on more Avengers and X-Men. She-Hulk and Deadpool could have a double fourth wall break, Quicksilver has already been somewhat established in the MCU, and it would be cool to see Thor and Hulk involved. But I think having two teams in the film already, it would be good to be a little bit frugal. We can save more characters for Secret Wars and focus on who we have coming to blows here. Civil War didn't have a mammoth amount of heroes, but that worked because it was a 2-hour movie rather than a comic book event. Less is more here, and the less is still an awful lot to chew on. So how does it kind of play out? Well, roughly, mutants all over the world are dropping into Earth 1999, causing seismic disasters and upheaval. Sam leads the team, and unfortunately the first mutants they find are Lev Schreiber's Sabretooth and Eric Dane's Multiple Man.
Shiny.
A pair who waste no time killing and terrorising with glee. The Avengers put them down and are led to think through Kang's manipulation that the mutants are one unified force with aggressive intent. They will come to learn better as the story evolves, but right off the bat, it seems an army is coming. The Avengers uncover a clue to these mysterious tears, a conqueror simply known across the multiverse as Kang. Ant-Man has already fought Kang once before and was warned he would bring armies to wage a multiversal war on their reality. Doctor Strange realises the tears from which these warriors are arriving could cause a full-scale incursion, an event that he has been deathly afraid will occur ever since the events of Multiverse of Madness. The Avengers fully believe these innocent mutants are invaders looking to destroy their way of life. In reality, the X-Men and the mutants were forced into this reality upon the destruction of their own world and mean no harm to the natives of this world. Whether or not the two teams can realise what is going on and who is really to blame will drive these battles. I want Anna Paquin's Rogue being the first X-Man to arrive in the MCU, with none other than Captain Marvel anchoring the opening action sequence. Finally, we'll get to see Rogue absorb Captain Marvel's powers on the big screen, and the live-action Rogue will finally become the tank of the X-Men that she is in the comics animated series. This will also lead to Danvers being put in critical condition, giving the Avengers cause to take the threat of these interlopers with grave severity. I don't want her to die, but benching her will give Miss Marvel a strong cause to take on the X-Men, whilst also contending with the idea that she is a mutant herself and what that could mean. She will be key to bringing the two teams together in the third act. Cyclops steps up and seeks to find the stray X-Men across this strange world, allowing us to see more of him as a leader than we ever did before. The matchups could be done so sweet if done correctly. I want to see Nightcrawler versus Spider-Man, the teleporter putting the latter's Spidey sense into overdrive, but conversely, he's fast enough to have a chance at catching the mutant. Still, how do you web him up when he can keep teleporting? I think that would be a sweet fight. Wolverine would be a good matchup for Moon Knight, since he got kebbabbed several times in his own series and walked it off. a good way of putting Wolverine back into a PG-13 space after the R-rated Deadpool movie. I want to see Cyclops fending off every single Shang-Chi 10 ring, blasting away each and every incoming attack to have a chance at striking the Avenger dead on. There's one matchup that wouldn't be good, quite the opposite in fact, but I think it would be good to lean into it. In fact, I think this matchup will be the focal point of the end of the film.
I've been at the mercy of men just following orders. Never again.
The new Captain America doesn't have super soldier serum, and I will die on the hill that this is a mistake. Yeah, themes in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I get it, I get what they were going for. Getting it doesn't automatically mean I like it. For one thing, what other legacy hero gets only a few powers from their predecessor? Miles Morales gets all of Peter's powers and then some. Every Green Lantern gets the same abilities. Supergirl, she has all of Superman's powers. She doesn't just skip out on the flight in heat vision for some reason, does she? The Vibranium Herb was literally destroyed in the MCU, but Black Panther Wakanda Forever went to great lengths to synthesize it so that Shuri could get all of the Panther skill set. I think out of Sam and Shuri as legacy heroes, it makes more sense for the latter to be the character that doesn't get a super soldier ramp up. She's a tech genius already. Her nanotech Black Panther suit forms around her at will at a moment's notice, and she could make it every bit as durable and useful as the Iron Man suit. She could be as formidable as Infinity War Iron Man without the herb, as powerful as the original Black Panther without the herb, but Sam not getting the super soldier serum puts him at a serious disadvantage. Rather than being Cap with the added benefit of wings, he's the Falcon with the added benefit of a shield. I feel like he should be more powerful than the original Cap, but I digress. It's not happening, so I've just got to accept it. So case in point, let's see him get absolutely owned by Magneto in their first encounter. Eric not only confiscates his shield, he rips his metal wings apart and turns the feathers into daggers, pointing them at Sam, ready to eviscerate him. Sam has a classic Cap moment and gets back up. He can do this all day, even in the face of certain doom. It doesn't matter that his powers can't measure up to this enemy, this impresses Magneto and he hesitates, killing him. Through Kang's doing, the pair end up forced together and separated from their respective teams, chucked across the multiverse, told that in their absence, both factions may kill each other by the time they find any way of returning home. I think this pairing could be great, not only because of the power levels, but because they can both delve into the core themes present within their live action appearances. Magneto hates the American government and sees Sam and his red, white and blue as nothing more than a puppet. He insists that mutants come from a world just like his, where they are oppressed at every turn, something Sam could never understand. Sam could in turn be like, "Are you kidding me? I think I know a thing or two about what you're talking about." He points out that maybe Eric is so caught up in fighting the mutant cause that he forgets there are plenty of other groups who need help striving for their rights. Sam didn't know mutants existed before the events of this movie, but he promises that he would fight for them on his world to his dying breath. He doesn't care where they came from, as he would for anyone who needs his help, regardless of what any government tells him he needs to do. Magneto is led to wonder if he misjudged Sam, and if he has a point about the way he views other minority groups that are striving for their own equality. And then on their adventure, they end up in an off-kilter dimension devoid of metal and magnetism, a reality of Kang's twisted design, specifically created to torment Magneto and make him feel powerless. It's here that Sam proves he is useful and no slouch. In a world like this one, Eric needs him for protection against Kang's forces, being 10 times the better hand-to-hand fighter. By the time they battle their way back to the native MCU, they formed a bond. Magneto reunites Sam with the wings and rebuilds them using his powers. He gives him the shield, but Sam suggests Eric takes it for a spin instead. Here, we see Magneto fully unleashed with the power of the iconic Vibranium shield, sending it in a million different directions like we've never seen before, laying waste to Kang's army and turning the tide. I mean, seriously, imagine what Magneto could do with Cap's shield. It would be so awesome.
Perfection.
Magneto is forced to sacrifice himself to see the tears close, but in doing so the two teams form a truce once and for all, and Captain America promises he will protect the X-Men and the mutants as he said he would. Eric is gone, but in actuality, he's been saved by a character we've not seen for years. One who will have a very interesting familial dynamic with him going into Secret Wars. This is just a rough sketch of how things will go down. Of course, all the mechanics of how the mutants will cross into the MCU would need more thought. There'd be more thought given to like the individual arcs of the X-Men and the Avengers, aside from those two characters, as well as the specifics of Kang's manipulation, his ultimate goal, where both teams end up in the lead up to Secret Wars, so on and so forth. But I do think this would be a strong foundation for bigger things in that planned two-part epic, and this could give the MCU some direction with its two biggest teams, rather than going all out after having several years of an aimless, overarching multiverse story. You get big epic action, and a reason to treat Kang like the mastermind successor to Thanos he truly is. You get the live action X-Men like never before, the new Avengers a chance to show they can be every bit as formidable and interesting as the original team, and you get narrative thrust to the multiverse saga in a big way, rather than all the tiptoeing around that has occurred. What do you think? Should the next Avengers movie be Avengers Vs X-Men? Would it be a good way of building up both teams as well as the Kang contingent? Would it be better than rushing into the Secret Wars? What would you rather see from Avengers 5? How do you want the MCU to start tying up the multiverse saga and lead into Avengers Secret Wars? And if the MCU Avengers did fight the Foxmen, what matchups would you want to see? Let me know in the comments below. As always, a big thank you to TDW Fan and Dr. Chike for keeping the lights on, for being my full fat tier patrons. Thank you very much. If you want to get early releases of my videos, or catch up on my latest reviews of Doctor Who, including Dot and Bubble and 73 Yards, then head on over to patreon.com/fullfatvideos.